Deadlines or constraints. Which should you use? In project planning tools, you can constrain an activity's date or assign a deadline date for it. I've seen many project schedules that use constraints but not use the deadline field. I find the deadline field is very useful. Many schedulers, when using tools like MS Project, are given a date for a particular task to occur and will subsequently put that date in the date columns of that task. By doing that, they have constrained that task, and therefore any dependencies linked to that task won't be driving the schedule. You need to think, is this a true constraint or is it more of a target date? Constraints override task dependencies and prevent automatic rescheduling. When I have been given target dates for something like an exhibition or regulatory deliverables which must be adhered to, then the preceding activities relevant to that exhibition or regulation requirement must drive that date so that you know that everything will be ready in time. These should therefore have constrained dates. Therefore, use constraints when 1. A hard deadline is imposed by stakeholders or legal requirements. If an external factor, for example, a legal requirement or client demand, dictates a fixed date, or if missing a date has major consequences, a hard constraint ensures compliance. An example is regulatory approval must finish on September 20th, or if you need to prevent automatic schedule changes. Constraints override task dependencies and prevent automatic rescheduling. For instance, start no earlier than for a contractually obligated project phase start. Deadlines. 1. If you want to track a target completion date without restricting the schedule, then deadlines help you monitor whether a task or milestone is on track without forcing scheduling logic. For example, setting a deadline for a deliverable on June 27th allows the schedule to honour the dependencies and adjust dynamically. Or if you need flexibility in the project schedule. Unlike constraints, deadlines don't lock tasks into specific dates, allowing for better adaptability if the project timeline shifts. For instance, if dependent tasks are delayed, the project schedule can still adjust while keeping the original deadline as a reference. Using deadlines, you have the indicator flags functionality. Most scheduling tools like MS Project can flag tasks that miss their deadlines, helping you manage risks without rigid constraints. For example, a red indicator appears if a key milestone exceeds its deadline. 4. Use deadlines if you need to avoid unnecessary scheduling conflicts. Constraints, such as must finish on, can cause unnecessary restrictions, leading to inflexible schedules that break dependency-driven logic. For example, using a deadline for product testing completion instead of a hard constraint lets the testing phase adjust as needed. Bottom line, use deadlines to track target dates while keeping flexibility. Use constraints when a task must occur on, before, or after a specific date with no exceptions. Types of constraints are finish no earlier than, finish no later than, start no later than, start no earlier than, must start on, must finish on. Start as soon as possible and finish as soon as possible both allow flexibility in the schedule.